Am I the asshole for flipping my SIL's logic back on him? My granddaughter, Ava, just turned 15. Her dad died when she was very little. My daughter, May, remarried a few years ago to a man, Tom, that I wish she hadn't. He has a 13-year-old disabled son, Rob. Tom spoils Rob and neglects all of my granddaughter's needs. Of course this is May's fault too, and I've gotten to the point where I still love her but do not like her. Ava must always take a backseat to Rob. She can't go places that Rob can't go, he's in a wheelchair. So she can't do stuff like camping. I had to fight with my May to get her to put her foot down and allow Ava to even play sports in school. Even then it falls on me to transport her, because May must always be available for Tom's needs. She won't even go to her games because Rob said it will make Tom feel bad. Ava's paternal grandparents had to stop giving Ava money because Tom was forced her to give Rob 60% of it, because Rob is disabled, he needed extra. Ava's birthday was coming up and Tom was clear that the cake and ice cream must be what Rob wants or else it is unfair. He demanded that the cake must be chocolate and the ice cream strawberry, neither of which Ava prefers. The party was at my house, so when I pushed back on this, Tom gave me a spiel about how hard Rob's life is and he deserves to always get what he wants because he is disabled. My husband's daughter just moved near us recently. She has a 6-year-old with Down syndrome, Dave. I asked Ava if she would be interested in inviting them. She agreed. I knew Dave had some allergy, so I talked to stepdaughter to make sure the party food was safe for him. He is deathly allergic to strawberries. So I assured her that it was no problem and we would not have strawberry ice cream. Ava was happy about that. She then asked if there were other food preferences Dave might have. It turns out he doesn't like eating brown. Well, since Dave is younger and frankly more disabled than Rob, we decided that it would only be fair to make him what he likes. Ava got her red velvet cake and mint ice cream that she wanted. Tom was enraged when he got to my place and saw the food wasn't to his son's specifications. I just told him it was more fair to have what Dave likes because Dave is younger and disabled. Rob threw a fit and upset Dave with his yelling. I scolded him and told him that it wasn't okay to upset the little disabled boy and that he was being unfair. Then I gave Dave the presents I was forced to buy for Rob because it was more fair. Am I the asshole?
Not the asshole. I am very concerned about Tom's treatment of Ava. Taking away her money. Making her birthday about Rob. She's going to need therapy. No. You are not the asshole. Rob is confined to a wheelchair. He is physically disabled. And not mentally disabled, like Dave is, so Rob has no reason to be spoiled. Anyway, it's not like Rob isn't allowed to eat ice cream. He still gets ice cream. And it's Ava's birthday, so no need for gifts. In short, not the asshole. Rob doesn't deserve anything you take away from him at Ava's birthday. Edit. Even if he was mentally disabled, Rob has no reason to be spoiled. So does Dave.
Not the asshole. You sound like a good grandmother. I honestly feel a bit bad for Rob. It isn't his fault, his father is a tool. Though he sounds spoiled as well. And I feel horrible for Ava's paternal grandparents. Hopefully they've created a fund for her when she turns 18. It must be doubly painful for them that both their son is deceased and their granddaughter is treated so badly. You sound like more of a mother to Ava than your own daughter, which is sad, but necessary.
NTA. I applaud you, but you might have given Dave's parents a heads up about Tom's entitled attitude beforehand. Not the asshole. Your daughter sucks big time. Why is she allowing her daughter Yo be treated so badly? Is it possible for Ava to move in with you? Because she deserves to enjoy what's left in her childhood and not have her terrible stepfather ruin it out of favoritism for his son. Not the asshole. Also, they are abusing this kid. Just because he is in a wheelchair doesn't mean he can't enjoy sports. Even if he can't participate in a wheelchair sport, he could be going to Pokémon card tournaments or video game tournaments or art contests or any other millions of competitive hobbies, which is what sports are. Not the asshole. For the love that is all holy, please tell me that if she has a college fund or something similar that her mother has no access to it. Rob will drain that money out and poor Ava will be left screwed.
Not the asshole. So glad Ava has you in her life to push back against her ridiculous parents. NTA and Yas Queen.
Did you really use a kid with Down syndrome as a prop to prove a point to your SIL?
Esh. I think that it's definitely really awful the way SIL treats his stepdaughter, but I think that you need to figure it out adult to adult. Using children as pawns to prove a point. How embarrassing for Dave to be used that way by you, and how embarrassing for Rob to be treated that way by his father. I understand your frustration and it is 100% valid to be upset about the way your granddaughter is treated, but the way you went about it was out of line.
Not the asshole. Being disabled doesn't always mean that a child has to get their way. If it did, my disabled self and disabled sister would be the most spoiled individuals on the planet. Your SIL and your daughter are doing both children a grave disservice by setting them up like this. Good for you for putting your foot down and doing something Ava wanted.
Not the asshole. It literally does sound like you followed your SIL's own rules for how kids should be treated.
Not the asshole. Please document these issues and call CPS. This is abuse. She shouldn't have to take care of him or miss out on things. Who knows what else is happening.
Okay, not the asshole, but red velvet cake and mint chocolate chip ice cream. Face vomiting. Clearly we need to give Ava some time to adjust to having decision-making power once again.
Not the asshole. And you are a great grandma. I wish mine had been as interested in my life as you are in your kids. And I always taught irony was the best way to prove a point to asshole's grin.
Everyone sucks here. It's good that you took decisive action, but using a young boy who has a disability as a pawn to do so when he himself is not capable of understanding or processing the full gravity of the situation was incredibly callous and irresponsible. And the fact that folks are getting downvoted for bringing this up is also discouraging. There are plenty of ways to handle this between adults that don't involve subjecting young children to conflict and toxicity they themselves have no part in. Whether or not Dave was targeted in the yelling specifically, he was upset by the situation. As the adult in the situation, it's your job to foster genuine friendships between children in your care and other children, with or without disabilities, not use them in elaborate gotcha scenarios.
Not the asshole. Do you think May would let your daughter live with you, since it's obvious she doesn't care about her at all?
Not the asshole. Poor Ava. And I just can't stop laughing at the way you used his logic back against him. Winking face.
Not the asshole. Very brilliant actually. I'd like to add that Tom and May are failing both their kids. People will resent Rob for the way their parents treat him, and he will not be prepared for the real world where he most likely will not get his way all the time. I feel very sorry for the both of them.
That's awesome, LMAO. You're doing great. Not the asshole.
This sounds like an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm. Oh yeah, everyone sounds wretched here.
Not the asshole. As a psychology student, but not at all an expert on the subject, I am pretty confident to say that in any kind of disability, whether it is mental, physical, genetic or acquired, it should be the primary goal of the family as a support system to allow the person to do anything he can do as autonomously as they can, thus pushing the limits of their ability further, instead of just catering to their every need. Although this is much harder and stressful for all the parties involved, any disability or illness should not be considered as an excuse to avoid fulfilling one's social and personal duties. Furthermore, in the long run, the acquired autonomy goes a long way to improve the person's sense of self-worth and overall well-being of the whole family.
He. Not the asshole. You are, however, exceedingly clever and I applaud your brilliance. Rob's dad is doing more to disable him than any accident ever could. I'm glad there's an adult in here somewhere who knows which way is up and is willing to push back on occasion. You're a damn good grandma.
Not the asshole. Thank goodness you are looking out for Ava.
Not the asshole. Rob's father is He's using his son's issues as a weapon to bully everyone. I'm sorry that the kid has problems, but forcing the world to cater to him is not going to help. Not the asshole. All Tom is doing is making Rob a huge entitled asshole. Being in a wheelchair isn't the end of all things. But being an asshole certainly shuts down a lot of options in life. Ava is lucky to have you. And she is a truly nice kid if she can notice Rob's potential despite having her life twisted around by Tom's guilt. It's only 3 years until Ava is free as an adult. Can she come to live with you? And, as an act of absolute grace, tell her that Cal State Long Beach is known for being one of the most wheelchair-accessible colleges in the U.S., including dorms, and they have some great scholarships. Have her pass that on to Rob. It may be a great goal for him to aim to go there and get the hell away from Tom. Not the asshole. This is insane. My brother would do the same thing with my nieces. If it was the older one's b-day, he would buy the younger one gifts so she wouldn't be mad. It's not her birthday. We went off on him about it, but he never did it in front of us again. My oldest niece is still messed up from how they treated her compared to her sister. This dude is a horrible person, and I hope your daughter wakes up to this. Also, I hope you explain to your granddaughter how absolutely wrong it all is. I do even understand how your daughter thinks this is okay. You really need to have a talk with her and never follow what he says again.
But that's just my opinion. Seems like you're framing the story a certain way, which is fine, pretty much everyone does that. But you used disabled kids as props to prove your point, and you diminished Rob's disability because he's less disabled. That's really fucked up.
Did you just say, more disabled, frankly? Yeah, this feels like everyone fighting over who has it harder.
Everyone sucks here. Stop using little disabled kids as props.
You could try reach to Ava's grandparents to set up a trust found to her and that only her will have access. It seems like they don't care much for her, and quite frankly she will need for college. The parents are treating Ava unfairly. That sucks. You are using a disabled child to punish a disabled child for how his dad acts. That sucks. Put your foot down, but for God's sake don't use a disabled child to do it, and don't punish another disabled child to do it.
If this is how it actually is, then not the asshole. But grandparents are usually very biased, and parents who don't like their kids' spouses are also usually pretty biased, so for all I know this is all complete bullshit. It certainly sounds like it. Not the asshole at all. Your son-in-law is abusing your granddaughter. Your daughter is enabling it. It's not your granddaughter's fault that her step-brother is disabled, but she is being punished because of it. Would you be able to take her in at all, because quite frankly her life seems terrible, and you are the only person in her life that appears to take care of her emotional needs?
You are the asshole because this is such an obviously made-up story.
Can you be my grandmother? Not the asshole. Lol. Well played, Grambo. Well played. Tom needs his ass kicked. IMO. Also not the asshole. Not the asshole.
Not the asshole. Can Ava come live with you? Tom is abusing her emotionally, and her mother clearly isn't up to the task of supporting her development adequately.
Not the asshole, and this belongs over on one of the revenge subs as well. Just beautiful.
But you especially for using Dave and his disability like a pawn in your pissing contest.
NTA. But if you're okay with just have your granddaughter move in with you, and of course if she wants to. That girl is going to hate her mom forever if she keeps doing that to her.
Not the asshole. You made reasonable accommodations and he got upset.
If the kid has such a disability that everyone has to cater to him and be tended to 24/7, how did he have time to date and marry?
Tom is an awful parent to Ava and an awful parent to Rob. Rob's gonna need a lot of therapy to unlearn the narcissism his parents are teaching him. Not the asshole. NT-fucking-A.
Everyone sucks here, except the kids. All these adults using disabled kids to hide behind and use as pawns to get what you want is not cool. To the kids, sorry this happened to you.
I mean, you masterfully flipped the script on the real law, but you didn't really solve the issue and instead dragged another poor child into this conflict. I don't think you're a bad person, but referring to someone with a Downs as more disabled, as if it's some sort of competition, is cruel. Luckily the kid's 6 and probably won't understand what happened, but please don't try to do it again.
Not the asshole. Most of the comments seem to be focused on Tom, and yes, he is being tar. But much worse in my mind is May. She has the greatest obligation to look out for Ava and is really failing as a mother.
Not the asshole. I feel very bad for Ava and Rob because this is the kind of stuff that creates a real rift between siblings who could otherwise be lifelong friends.